Ilsa.
And your last name?
Tirado. T as in Tom. Irado.
Thank you.
Don't worry. 6 months ago, I received very sad but beautiful news. They were sad because I found out that I had lost a very beloved person. This man had lived one of the most fulfilled lives I have ever encountered. In his youth, he had been a skilled farmer, a shrewd politician, a self-educated scholar, and a zealous husband and loving father. Towards the end of his earthly life, though, the vigor of his life greatly attenuated. He was not the strong farmer anymore. In fact, he could not even water the plants. He was not as socially active as a politician. He could not move without a wheelchair. His mind was so deteriorated that he could not even recognize his son. Bereft of the perspicacity he used to possess, thanks to Parkinson's and senility, he simply ate, listened to music, and slept. And even those activities were burdensome. Ladies, gentlemen, can we honestly call this as living with a good quality of life? Living well? Living happy? Behold, here is the ideal scenario to perform an act of euthanasia. To intentionally kill, by act or omission, a dependent human being for his elect benefit, of course. The laws of California, however, would not have allowed him to perform an act of euthanasia, because euthanasia is presumably banned in all states of the Union. Only physician-assisted suicide is legal, and that is in the states of Washington, Oregon, and Montana. 3 states do not worry us so much, do they? Let us remember that in 1961, one state legislature, California's, started drafting the first widespread pro-abortion laws. In a matter of 12 years, the Supreme Court upheld similar laws in Roe v. Wade, thus making abortion legal in our nation. Will we wait until this happens with physician-assisted suicide and euthanasia? Will we wait until then to raise our voices? We all know here, as the World Medical Association, that even at the patient's or at a close relative's own request, euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide are in conflict with basic ethical principles of moral medical practice. But why do prosperous countries like Japan, India, Switzerland, Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium disagree with you and me and the World Medical Association? The roots of their tenets are in 2 basic but crucial concepts in the development of any society: the concept of God and the concept of man. The concept of God is definitely purely rationalistic. The most vivid advocates of euthanasia think that you and me are a product of chance, randomness. They might also have the post-modernist view, or should I say post-Christian view of God. You know what? God may exist, he may not. Either way, I don't care, because that does not affect my decisions. God and the public arena don't really go together. Then why believe that, as the book of Deuteronomy says, he is who brings both death and life? Having considered this sad concept of God, let us now consider the concept our society has of man. Man is what he produces, what he knows, how good he feels, how much money he puts into the economy. Producing, knowing, feeling, being useful eventually become impossible for us to do. So when that moment comes, man, he's not really worth keeping alive anymore. He's not useful, he's not happy. He has no reason to keep living. No reason. So wouldn't bringing about death in a gentle and charitable fashion, say through a pill or through a lethal injection, to this person, be actually a logical and humane option? Alarming, isn't it? This symptom of the culture of death, says Blessed John Paul II, should alarm us, because when looked at more closely, euthanasia is seen to be quite the contrary, senseless and inhumane. Because it measures the value of human life only within the parameters of normality and physical well-being, and I must add, usefulness, not under the light of us being sons and daughters of God. John Paul II continues writing that it is because man has denied and neglected this fundamental relationship to God that he thinks that he has the right to demand the ways and the means to decide what to do with his life, to decide to be completely autonomous. Man has reduced his life to a purely utilitarian and hedonistic reality. He has forgotten that he is made in the image and likeness of God. He has forgotten that to be made in the image of God, to be loved by him, to love and to live, not just to produce or feel good, is his inmost vocation. Before concluding, I want to go back to the man I talked about in the beginning of my story. That man was my grandfather. Evidently, he did not live his last years with a high quality of life, but he lived them with the highest quality of character. Now comes the beautiful part of the story. Seconds before getting the terminating heart attack that claimed his life, he called my grandma, who was in the kitchen cooking breakfast for him, and from that wrinkled, crippled, deformed, tired figure, he tells her, "Vieja, te amo." My old lady, I love you. Those were the last conscious words he said. I love you. After hearing that, I was convinced that God is indeed the Lord of life and death. Let us be living witnesses of this to our society, by living upholding the dignity of every person, by showing love to every person. Let us look at them with love, because their value, our value, is not in what we do or in what we produce, but in who we are. Let us stand up for life by living it fully, by loving it fully. Thank you.